Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. Today is part 2. We've got through 5 teams at the County Championship preview. Today we're getting through the next 5 teams. We've got Northants, Notts, Somerset, Surrey and Warwickshire to get through, as well as giving our predictions for the season and comparing them to what the cricketer has given and see, hey, who's going to be right at the end of it. How are you today, Rich? Second half, excited?
I'm very well, yeah. I'm limbered up. I had the warm-up for the first 5 teams, ready to go again. I'm still off a short run-up, but yeah, ready to go. Some good teams. I'm looking forward to the predictions as well, because I'm ready for people to shout at us.
Yeah, good teams, really good bowling units. And no one really likes that second spell, like club cricketers, when they get the call 35 overs in, the muscles have gone cold, they're aching. It's like, you got a few more overs in you, mate. It's like, I'm done, bro.
Absolutely. So, right, without any further ado, mate, let's jump into it. Let's get to Northamptonshire, Rob. There was 6 last year. The prediction, they're getting into the realm of no one rates as we don't care, I think, Northants. This was the first time they've stayed up for a second summer after promotion since 2001. So it was a big year for Northamptonshire down at Wantage Road. Another team effort batting display. 6 players in excess of 500 runs, led by skipper Luke Proctor. John Sadler is his second year as coach for them as well. 961 runs for Proctor. Ricardo Vasconcelos, one of the favourite players to say his name. He had a down year, averaging only 27 for 576 runs, and he relinquished the captaincy by the end of last year. Hopefully this will free him up. Overseas bats, Ryan Rickleton, Jimmy Neesham and Will Young all made good contributions in their relatively short spells as well. With the ball, it was veteran. The man Ben Sanderson, 41 wickets, followed closely by the 31-year-old relative unknown seamer Jack White, 37 wickets for him. Jack White, interestingly, only made his first-class debut in 2020. Came through the minor counties system, Cumbria and Cumberland, Rob. We love a great story like that. He's going to be key for them again this year. Spinner Rob Keogh showed he had the ability to be frontline wicket-taking spinner as well as being a very good bat. This year, new skipper Proctor is going to have plenty of help from their first-class overseas pro Sam Whiteman, captain Western Australia in the Sheffield Shield, and will be hoped to also do what Aussies have always done in County Championship, Rob, which is score loads of runs. Batting card did so well last year, should be quite similar. Emilio Gay and Vasconcelos up the top of the order, with the likes of Saif Zaib, Luke Proctor being joined by Whiteman. Although Emilio Gay could be a bit of a miss, he's going to miss the start of the summer with injury. So Northants, I think, have made one of the probably the shrewdest signings of the summer so far. They've signed Hassan Azad. He of Leicestershire opener. He's been released by them. He had a down year last year, but it wasn't long ago. We were saying he's potentially in that conversation of England opener. So I think he's a hell of a player, and I think it's a really good signing, and it'll just make them stronger. Oldest team duo in first-class cricket, Ben Sanderson, Gareth Berg, is still on the way, isn't it? Return home as well, David Willey, good move for him. He's signed on to play all formats. It'll be interesting to see how much he plays in red ball, and they'll hope Rob Keogh can continue his fine form as well. Speaking of to 34 wickets last year. It's going to be tough to decide who to pick between him and red ball specialist Simon Kerrigan going into his last year of his contract.
It's an interesting one, Northants. They're not a perennial Division 1 sort of team, are they?
No.
And the last time they were there, 2014, they didn't win a game. So I think to come away from last year, finishing 6th in the table with a couple of wins, is actually a really solid performance. Yeah. Top 6 average 33 last year, 7th in Division 1 and 9th with the ball with a 37.10 average. So you can see there's a team with a bit of disparity going on, trying to live up to everything going on, but they managed to draw enough games and they managed to sneak enough wins. They only won 2 games all season, which incredibly is the same amount that Gloucestershire did, and they came bottom and went down. So it shows what can be done with getting points at the right time. Emilio Gay, I would back him to, if I was to say who's going to be 5 breakout stars for the year, I'd put him on that top 5. He strikes the ball so nice, so fluid. Much improved last year. He took his average to about 33. Couple of centuries to his name. I feel like he's ready to take a step. He's not quite there as a bona fide county championship player yet, but he's got the ability to get there. I think one player that goes under the radar of people that don't watch county cricket will go, who's that? But Luke Proctor was key to them staying up. He was a brilliant player. Averaged over 40 last year. I think he averaged 53, 3 centuries to his name. First year, he averaged 40 since 2022, which I think is the only other year he's done it. Grown as a player, grown as a leader, and he's going to be the man that's kind of going to lead and charge them forward. Vasconcelos' slump. You kind of want to know if it's a slump or is this who he is. When he first came into Northants, he looked the real deal, and he was scoring runs really fast, and we was like, oh, okay, there's this guy, there's David Beddingham at Durham who's going to be England qualified, and there's Vasconcelos who's going to be qualified. It's what you're trying to work out. What are you? What's your ceiling going to be? What sort of player are you? Are you a guy that's going to average 30 and score at a decent strike rate, or are you something above and beyond that? And I don't know what he's done in the winter. I've not seen anything written about him, but I'd be interested to see what he does when he comes back, what sort of player we're going to be. The bowling worries me. Ben Sanderson just can't do it alone, I think, is essentially where it's at. He's incredible. 41 wickets last year is his third best return, and the best since, I think it was 2015 for him. Keogh as a spinner is a 43 career average sort of guy. He averaged 30 last year. So you're trying to, you're probably not going to average 30 every year that you're bowling, mate. So they could stay up, but it is going to be a fight for them. And they are going to have people step up that haven't stepped up before. They need to have someone have a Luke Proctor year, and they desperately need someone to support Ben Sanderson with the ball, because he'll take wickets and he'll have a low average and a decent strike rate, but you've got to support him. And I've come away going, batting okay, pace okay, spin okay. There's nothing that wowed me about it. It's going to be a slog.
Yeah, it's going to be a workman sort of side, isn't it, this year? Keogh spoke about kind of sort of midway through last year about having a conversation. I can't remember who I had a conversation with, but he changed his mentality as a bowler. And he really started to believe in himself a bit more. Maybe it was that whole influence in the county cricket and English cricket of McCullum, etc. But something did change. So it might be that 30 average is the way he's going to go going forward. He's not just going to be a hold it up bowler. The two players I've said to watch, Rob, are two of the ones you've mentioned there, Vasconcelos and Emilio Gay. I've got to mention them both because for two different reasons, really. Emilio Gay, like you said, excellent potential. He's only 22, 845 runs in Division 1, finished summer, including a high score of 145 against Surrey. He's going to be held back, obviously, by that injury early season. Let's hope it's not too long. Vasconcelos is 25 now. 3,700 runs at 34. Yes, he had a down year last year. He is a wicket-keeper as well. He's a man to watch still. It'll be interesting to see what happens about his allegiance going forward, whether or not he will be England as well. He had the captaincy last year. He did step down from that, which is what brought Proctor in. Maybe that was too much for him. Maybe there's just too much going on. Who knows? But he's still a talent. And for two different reasons. Gay, because I think he's just on a solid trajectory. Vasconcelos has had that dip. How does he respond? What player does he become after this season or this season itself? So really, really excited to see how they're going to go. They're going to be in that conversation for relegation. It's as simple as that. We'll do a little prediction at the end. But don't be offended, Northants, because you have to. When you go through these teams, you look at Northants and they have to be in that conversation. That's not to say that I don't think that they'll shock the world again and stay up. But on paper, it's going to be tough sledding, isn't it? If Sanderson has a exploding calf like somebody at that age might do, speaking from experience, then it could be really tough. Anyway, let's move across to our local boys. Rob, you're representing them today, Nottinghamshire, Division 2 Championships. I think my only day I was there for Notts last year was to see them lift that trophy on that day. So fun time. Steve Mullaney's still captain. Peter Moores is still coach. And it was a strange one, wasn't it? They were denied promotion in a weird 2021, so Notts had to prove their worth again. They were closer to winning the county championship in 2021 than anything, and they still ended up bizarrely back in Division 2 after what happened in 2019. So they made the most wins, most bonus points. No arguments. They were the best side in Division 2. Big names on the batting side. It was the bowling unit, wasn't it, really, of Dane Patterson, South African, who led the way with 56 wickets. Brett Hutton, Luke Fletcher, James Pattinson, the Aussie, and Stuart Broad when available. They also had the likes of Liam Patterson-White, who claimed 41 wickets. I think that was the most by a spinner in Division 2. With the bat then, Hamid, he recovered from his England treatment, shoddy England treatment, we've got to say, to put up over 1,200 runs last year. Ben Duckett also struck over 1,000 and found his way into the England Test arena. Skipper Steve Mullaney, 993, just missed out on 1,000. Lyndon James as well, a promising young all-rounder, 890 runs, including 300s for him. Early season, there's a big chance of making the most, really, isn't there, for Notts, of Stuart Broad as well as Ben Duckett. He's obviously going to be a huge miss for Notts, who bats at 3 for them. But you've got a batting card of Hamid and Ben Slater at the top. You've got a middle order of Joe Clark, Lyndon James, Mulaney. And there's likely to be a young fella called Matthew Montgomery that's going to fill in that slot at number 3. He averaged 46 in his first 8 first-class innings for Notts. So that's going to be a pretty good replacement, but it's not Ben Duckett. With the ball, they've got the return of Jake Ball after injury. James Patterson is moving on, though. Notts, for me, are a team where, on paper, they look pretty good. But they are missing an X factor with the ball, I think, especially with James Patterson leaving. Not going to be seeing much of Stuart Broad. They've got a spot for an overseas player still. If they can go and attract a seamer, a quick from somewhere, for a spell, it'll be really interesting. It really will be interesting to see what they can be as a team. One to watch, I'll do it now if you want, Rob. Liam Patterson-White, leading spin take in Division 2, played in England Lions this winter. If he has a similar summer with a ball, I think he's almost guaranteed a spot in India as probably that third spinner. He can bat, and I think his batting will improve and it'll get more successful. But, after Rayan Ahmed, Jack Leach, Patterson-White is a man to know all about this year, and we're going to talk about him quite a lot. Also, Lyndon James, quality middle order batter. Injury meant that he couldn't bowl much, but I think he's a really, really talented seamer as well. So don't just ignore his stats with his bowling at the moment, because he just hasn't bowled enough. But if he's fit and firing, technically he's a fantastic seam bowler and he will nibble wickets. So a really, really promising all-rounder as well.
A bit like Matt Henry for New Zealand. Ignore his stats when you look at his test match stats. When you're looking at him, he's a better bowler than that. Did I hear you say Dane Patterson's unavailable, or did I just hear that?
No. You heard that in your head. No, Patterson's there, but James Pattinson is now moving. Yeah, the Aussies moved on. You might not know James Patterson. He was the brother of Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah. One can wonder.
Good to see Notts back. It really is. They had a challenging ride last time in Division 1. Remember, they went 2019, they didn't win a game. They won 4 games in 2018. They had that huge run where they didn't win a game for probably the first 50 episodes of the podcast that we did. But they were hands down the best team in Division 2 last year. They deserved to win it. They had the best batting unit and they had the best bowling unit. Top 6 average 48, which was the best in the country, and a strike rate of 59, which was second best. That strike rate, Ben Duckett was exceptional. His strike rate was 70 plus. But Hasib Hamid completely changed his game from the guy that we saw against India, the guy that we saw in the Ashes. He scored the most runs he's ever scored in the season. That 1,200 runs at 58. His 4 tons is the most that he'd made since 2016. And his strike rate is 62, which shouldn't go under the radar because normal strike rate's 45, 50. His career strike rate's 43 with that added in. So that's how much he changed his game. Either it was really easy in Division 2 and he'll get found out going up to Division 1, but it will be a test. He averages 30 in Division 1 cricket in his career and 47 in Division 2. So a little bit of work to go there. Mulaney goes under the radar as a underrated all-rounder. His bowling's not quite what it used to be a few years ago, but he does chip in 15 wickets last year. And again, it's how you score your runs. Like we spoke about Ben Compton really kind of holding fort for a lot of the time for Kent. Over my dead body, I'm not getting out, I'm just going to keep batting. Mulaney, free-flowing, scores strike rate 70. You add that to Duckett scoring at strike rate of 70, Hamid scoring at a great strike rate at the top. It creates a really good environment. Lyndon James, 890 runs, 3 centuries last year. 5 years he's been playing county championship cricket this year. Played D1 back in 2018 a little bit, but he's averaged 47 playing in Division 2 as a player overall. So really strong stuff.
Still young as well.
Dane Patterson, the words I wrote was real powerhouse. Gets the lads on his back, and I'm going through them. Everyone just follow me. He is, you would love to be on his team. Big unit, 110 wickets at 20, a strike rate of 41 over the last 2 years. 2 good years for Notts as well. Promotion this year and almost won whatever last year was during COVID. Ollie Stone's an interesting addition to the unit that's coming. 136 wickets at 25, strike rate of 45 in the championship.
Rob, how did I forget Ollie Stone? I blocked it from my mind. Maybe it was one of those where he's too injured all the time, and if he bowls well, he's going to play for England. He'll never be available for Notts. I got that stuck in my head. Yeah, that's a great point. That could be the X factor.
It's an interesting one. Now, most of his wickets have come in Division 2, and I think this is something that flies under the radar. Who did you get your wickets against? What standard were you playing? 92 wickets at 23 in Division 2, 27 wickets at 31 in Division 1. There's more cricket in Division 2 there, obviously, but fitness is key. Can he stay healthy? Can he get ready for Ashes contention? You've got Wood, Archer, and maybe even Jamie Overton in front of him in terms of, hey, we need a fast bowler to come in and be that guy. So that's going to be really interesting. You touched on Liam Patson-White, great talent, looks really good. Down year with the bat last year, but his bowling was absolutely top-notch, spun knots to victory, particularly in the early season as well. Batting good, pace good, maybe lacking depth, question mark, and spin good, LPW breakout year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hope to, like I say, cover some of these up and coming players in little videos as we go through the year, if everything goes according to plan. I'm really looking forward to Notts this year. Get down to Trent a little bit. It should be fun. Right, Somerset, Rob. They were 7th last year. Tom Abel's the captain. Jason Kerr, coach. Andy Hurry, director of cricket. A really disappointing and frustrating summer, I'd say. Summed up by their mid-season draw-a-thon. 6 draws in a row for Somerset. Had an inability really to bowl teams out and was a little perplexing when considering their attack included overseas banana-eating Peter Suddill. 27 wickets, 24 for him, and Craig Overton, 36 wickets at 17. So a little bit disappointing for Somerset. This year, let's have a look how they're going to go then. So Peter Siddle, he's going to return until the end of July. He's going to be joined mid-May by Kiwi quick Matt Henry, who obviously was exceptional in his previous county championship stints for Kent, I think it was. Craig Overton and Lewis Gregory, they could make up a pretty formidable four-man seam attack with young all-rounder Tom Lammonby offering a nice complementing left-arm seam option from the top of the order. He's a player to watch. Skipper Tom Abel, he's going to lead the way again with the bat, isn't he? He's frustrating. He finally got an England call-up over the winter, and then he got injured in Bangladesh. Wasn't able to play. So we hope that he can kick on again and do what he does. Opener Sean Dixon arrives across from Durham. 31-year-old, South African-born, English qualified. He's had an excellent last few years, hasn't he? At the top of the order for Durham. Big pickup for him. Tom Lammonby at the top as well. Really, really talented. Not quite done it with a bat yet after a sensational start at the end of the season a couple of years ago. Big player in there. You've got George Bartlett in the middle order alongside Abel, another newcomer, Tom Kohler-Cadmore as well, come across from Yorkshire. And a late addition that was just announced a day or so ago is Aussie batter Cameron Bancroft. Cameron Bancroft, you may know from such incidents as sandpaper in your pants in South Africa. But Cam Bancroft has put that all behind him, so we should as well, Rob. Grow up. He's going to be across for 4 games as overseas before Matt Henry hits England. High hopes for Bancroft to be in England, the Australian squad. He's had a prolific Sheffield Shield, Rob. 945 runs at an average of 59, 289 more runs than second place leading batter. So that's some going, isn't it? Somerset, you'd expect them to have a better time. I'll quickly do the one to watch. Already mentioned Tom Lammonby. Get his name in your head, but I'm going to go James Rue. I'm going to keep it with the under-19 class. 339 runs at 39 already for the wicketkeeper batsman. He's got a maiden first-class 100. And he's played a bit more cricket this year, hasn't he? I think a bit more under-19 still. He played a bit of England Lions. Give him the gloves. Let's see what a player like this can do. You've got people like Stephen Davis and Kohler-Cadmore that can also keep wicket. But someone like James Rue is such an exciting young talent. Get him in as quick as possible, and let's see what he can do.
So I called Somerset to get relegated last year. I don't know if you remember, and I called out their batting as being a little weak around the edges. And, you know, they won 3 games on the season. They stayed up, but they started slow. Top 6 average 34, ranked in the middle and 5th in the country. Mm-hmm. But the average 28 in April, 32 in May, and 23 in June. It was the back end of the season that saved them. Abel, first 1,000-run year for Tom Abel. That's quite incredible.
Yeah,
and third time he's averaged 40 in the season since 2018. It was his best year on record, 5 centuries. Lammonby hasn't kicked on since that. I think he scored a century in the Bob Willis Trophy final, has he? He's never quite got there. Sean Dixon is next level acquisition, I feel, for this team. I've wrote the words, he's an absolute weapon at the top of the order. Before injury last year, 4 centuries, 800 runs, an average of 47, strike rate of 60, career best numbers in every single department. Tom Kohler-Cadmore, multi-format player for them. Polarising, but decent? Question mark.
Yeah.
Maybe a better white ball player than he is. He's a career average of 32 in red ball cricket. He does average 37 in D1 cricket over his lifetime. Don't know. Off-field troubles maybe behind him. Are we going to see a little more out of him as a player? And Bancroft, an interesting one. I looked at Bancroft. So he's played 4 separate years in England in county championship cricket, and he averages 36, which is probably, I don't think he's not a David Warner, put it that way.
No.
And the very polarising seasons. He had 2 seasons where he's averaged over 40 and done really well, 2019, 2017. 2016, 2021, he averaged mid-20s. So he's, like, you're going to get one or the other. You're either getting a really good performance or a really bad one, but what he will be is really hungry with the Ashes coming round and trying to get as much in him as possible to get him going. The bowling attack, Overton, Siddle, Brooks, Henry, Gregory, like, that's excellent. That is really, you should not be in a relegation dogfight with that attack. You just need something from your top order to provide it. And add to that Jack Leach is going to be available for probably the first 7 games of the season or whatever it is. So they've got potentially the second best spinner in Division 1. I think that's going to get them out of the jam. So I've gone batting okay, pace excellent, spin excellent, brackets, issues when Jack Leach goes to play for England second half of the season.
Won't need a spinner then anyway. It's English county cricket, Rob. You don't need a spinner.
You do need to spin.
Yeah. Right. So one to watch. We've spoke about James Rue. Honourable mention I just wanted to mention as well. Will Smead, ultra talented batter, hasn't he? He's basically already decided to focus on white ball cricket. It's such a shame, isn't it? But you can totally understand why he's doing it. And it was quite enlightening, really. He's saying, why bother trying to practice blocking the ball and playing correct in the nets when I could just be trying to practice smashing it and being the best white ball player I can. More power to you, mate. Fair play. Just I hope it goes well for him. But it's such a shame already that young players are coming through with that view, especially when you see how Test cricket could dramatically change and has changed in the last year. Right, let's move it on. We've got 2 more teams to wrap up, Rob. Surrey, the champions, well-deserved champions. Rory Burns, the mullet, he's still captain. Gareth Batty, along with Alex Stewart as director of cricket at the helm. So we spoke about lack of international call-ups. It allowed Surrey to put out their strongest team. They had plenty of Ollie Pope, even though he was playing for England. Ben Folkes didn't play much for England last summer, did he? So the key men was there, but they still needed to use 23 different players. I don't know if that's just they fancied using all those. But quality and strength in depth shone through for them, didn't it? And brought them that deserved win. Dan Worrell led the way with 39 wickets, whilst Jamie Overton took 34 wickets, and he was quick, earning him a Test cap. Jordan Clark, absolutely solid player now. 30 wickets for him. With the bat, no one made 1,000 runs, but there were 6 players who hit over 500. That's Ben Folkes, Ollie Pope, Will Jacks, Rory Burns, Hashim Amla, and Ryan Patel, whilst Sam Curran and Jordan Clark went very, very close to that figure. This year, the big news starts at the top of the card, doesn't it? Captain Rory Burns is going to have a very, very familiar face as his opening partner as Dom Sibley returns home to the Oval after his 5 or 6 year spell at Warwickshire. The England what could have been opening duo for Surrey. Aussie Dan Worrell is now an ex-Aussie. He's playing as a local under British passport, and he could line up alongside overseas seamers Kemar Roach and Sean Abbott. The likelihood of limited access to Sam Curran or Reece Topley early season. Jamie Overton, he's once again suffered an injury this winter, so he's going to be delayed in his getting going, if my information is correct. So that overseas trio will be needed, and alongside key all-rounder Jordan Clark, he's a player that really is. He's just solid, isn't he, Jordan Clark? Bit of both. Really, really underrated county player, but excellent. Spinner Will Jacks, he made his Test debut over the winter. He's going to miss some time early doors as well. So it opens it up, doesn't it? Likes of Amar Verdi we've spoke about a lot, or even Dan Moriarty to stake a claim for that spinner spot. Although Jack's ability with a bat also means he's going to be a key player when he is available. A tougher year in some ways. No Ollie Pope, no Ben Folkes on the horizon, unless Folkes is unfortunate to be the reason how you get Johnny Bairstow back in the team. But as it stands, you would imagine folks should keep the gloves for England. But if not, it does open the door for someone like Jamie Smith, and he is my one to watch. Ultra talented wicketkeeper batsman. Has scored the fastest ever 100 for England Lions this winter in Sri Lanka. Prime candidate, I'm going to say it, Rob, prime candidate for Bazball. He's one of them players where he could be the long-term replacement as wicketkeeper. All the wicketkeepers we speak about, whether it's Billings, Butler, Bairstow, Folkes is the young pup at over 30. Everybody else is sneaky old. So Jamie Smith, young player, he's on the way. Precocious talent. And I just want to mention Tom Laws as well, a young seamer that's coming through. 18 wickets at just 23, team best last year in just 6 first-class games. He's going to be potentially the one sort of English light that we're looking for in that overseas bowling attack.
It's a good team, isn't it?
Solid. Ridiculous.
Best average in the Championship D1 last year, average 45, top 6 players. 5th best bowling average. That's fine. There's about a 14-run difference in that. You're going to win quite a few games of cricket playing like that. Burns, I think, is a long way removed from being England's next opener if Crawley fails. I just genuinely do feel that.
Yes.
His game's not changed. He still goes and operates in the same way and the same methods.
And that's why he lost his place, because his game didn't change in all that time.
Game didn't change. But what he is his class at this level.
Yep.
He scored an absolute shed load of runs, and we called for him to play. He played. He looked good sometimes. He didn't look good sometimes. But what he has done is average more than 47 out of the 8 seasons that he's played, 15 centuries, 39 50s. And using advanced metrics, I've got him as 35% better than top 6 batters in the seasons that he's played. That's how good he is. Throw into the mixer that you've got Dom Sibley, who's the other opener during the last 5-6 years that scored a shed load of runs, and everyone's gone, let's put him in the England team. That didn't quite work out. That was quite painful, particularly that 60 not out against New Zealand rather than chasing the game. Maybe not his fault, probably told to play for the draw. But the amount of runs they've scored, that puts them in a really solid position. And Sibley went away and worked on his game pre-last year. Put in a lot of work. I did a video on TikTok a while ago about the change of techniques, playing a lot straighter, looking real good. 935 runs at an average of 40 last year. Refined technique, strike rate around 40, so about 11 or 12 less than Burns, and a career county championship average of 40, about 7 less than Burns. But you put that, and Ollie Pope comes in at 3. You've got a Will Jacks thrown in. You've got, is it Amler, the overseas as well? And you've got Ben Folkes. Like, that's such a good lineup. That average of 45, because they had Patel opening last year, that 45 could go higher. It could end up near 50, particularly if we get a dry start to the summer. Bowling's balanced. 5th best seam attack last year, 5th best spinner attack last year. That's not a bad place to be. Kemar Roach, world class. He'll be key. Keep him fit. Reece Topley might get some overs. Maybe Reece Topley on an England call-up if he can stay fit. And I think it's a really good opportunity for Will Jacks. England will want him to be the primary spinner here to get overs. They've obviously called him out. They like his batting. They like the way he goes about his business in white ball cricket. They think enough of him to give him a shot in Pakistan. And one under the radar, Gus Atkinson. Played 100, didn't look at his depth. 13 wickets at 28 last year. Batting, excellent. Pace, excellent. Spin, okay. Question marks about Will Jacks' capability to be a frontline spinner, but a hell of a team.
Yeah. Looking forward to Will Jack's development this year. Like I say, there's going to be 3 spinners in the winter. Don't worry about the Ashes too much this year. It's going to be Leach and Rayan Ahmed being thrown in occasionally, isn't it? But the winter in India, 5 Test match winter in India, you're going to need 3 spinners and 2 will play, at least. So Will Jacks, let's see what he can do. Right, we're going to round it out with Warwickshire. 8th last year, they stayed up on the last game of the season. 2021 champs as well, wasn't it? So it was a real sort of first to worst almost situation for them. But they stayed up thanks in large part to Liam Norwell, depends where you're from, how you say that, with his unbelievable 9 for 62 off Hampshire. That is a man with some stones. The ever-reliable Oliver Hannon-Dolby led the way with the ball, 53 wickets, but it was Norrell who didn't play that much. He was second with wickets with 22, 13 coming in that final game. And this was a problem, that he was the second leading wicket taker in only a few games. Sam Hain hit his first 1,000-run summer, and he's going to be a hell of a player. Will Rhodes might be up back towards the top of the order as well, with the departure of Sibley. This year, help with the bowling attack, Chris Rushworth, has arrived down from the northeast, Rob. He's had enough of Durham. He's moved to Warwickshire. He wants to have a go at Division 1 cricket. Fair play to him. And he's going to lead this attack on paper that looked pretty damn good. So Rushworth, Hannon Dolby, fit again Liam Norwell. New signing Pakistan team Hassan Ali as well as overseas, and a certain Chris Wokes is still around, isn't he? They've also got ex-Worcestershire all-rounder Ed Barnard. He's going to be there. He can use the ball as well, obviously. Will Rhodes bowls a bit. They've then got the likes of Henry Brooks, Craig Miles in reserve. There's no excuses for their bowling attack. It's deep. It's plenty. It should be enough. With a bat, departure of Sibley obviously is going to be a shame. We'll see if it's Rhodes and Yates. They can pick up that partnership that got him promotion a few years back and was so prolific. And Sam Hain in the middle order with the likes of Alex Davis, Chris Benjamin, Ed Barnard, etc. You would hope that that will be enough. Promising young players as well. Jacob Bethel, Dan Mousley. You want them to kick on. There's opportunity for people there, isn't there? And also there's a certain Moeen Ali back in Warwickshire, isn't it? Back in the Whites with first county this summer after moving from Worcestershire. I just find it interesting whether or not Moeen Ali will play first-class cricket, because apparently he has a contract that allows him to, sort of on a bonus structure for every game he does play in first class. So we shall see. Don't know if he does or not, but that's one to have a look at. And one to watch, 19-year-old all-rounder Jacob Bethel. Yet another England under-19 product. That was a hell of an age group that came through at the same time. Impressed across the formats already, hard-hitting player, useful slow left-armers, yet to take a wicket in first-class cricket. But if he can force his way through at the start of the year, yet another star could be being born.
I'm going to start with Ed Barnard, who is an under-the-radar signing. He's a career 33 average guy, mate. Career 33 average. Played a heap in Division 2, where he's averaged 35. 28 innings in Division 1, averaging 22. Played quite a few years. He started in 2015, his first season, I think it was. It might have even gone back further than that. If I change my search term, I do think it's 2015. But what's happened, he's gone from this guy that averages 20-odd every single year. 2021, he averaged 49. 2022, he averaged 59. He's completely changed. There was one week we were watching them play, and he was on to score a century before lunch. He got out for like 85. He goes in and pencils it. And I feel like this is going to be, if Moeen Ali's added to the mix, who scores at a heck of a rate. Michael Burgess is wicketkeeper, who got a strike rate of 71 and is absolute must-see YouTube TV every time he's doing it. He had a strike rate of 82 back in 2019, but kind of waned off during those COVID years. But has kind of found himself. This could be a really interesting batting attack, because around that, you've got England radar Sam Hain in the middle, third most runs in D1 last year, like you said, 63 average, 3 tons, classy, confident, rock solid, really low strike rate of about 45. But on average, looking at how many times he fails, scores 50, scores 100, I've got him down as 63% better than top 6 players last year that played in Division 1. So actually starting to piece together not a bad batting lineup that could be really interesting. Could completely fall flat on its face at times, but is good. But the bowling that you touched on, you write that down. Oliver Hannon Dolby is incredible year on year, particularly early season. The notes I always make on him is tall and shape. He's really tall, accurate, plenty of bats, but he gets some real good hooping going on with the ball. Really like what he's doing. Rushworth brings his incredible consistency from over the years. Only Kyle Abbott's taken more wickets for a pace bowler since 2017. That's 285 at 21. That's year on year, pretty incredible, just consistent performance. But he has dropped off slightly, but he's going to have days where he can run through people. Liam Norwell, England radar, big concussion last year knocked him out for quite a substantial period of time. I think he got a ball back in the head or something like that, or he got pinned in there. It's one of the two. 22 wickets with a strike rate of 31. That's England radar. Strike rate is king for this England team. 94 wickets since 2019 at a strike rate of 40 and a bowling average of 18. You can't do much more than that. So you've got Dolby, Norwell, Rushworth, potentially a Chris Wokes, potentially a Hassan Ali, and that is an extremely good bowling attack. I'd be really happy with that. I've got batting good, pace excellent, spin okay. I think they're a better team than they were last year. And
they should
you can't really ask anything more from your team than that.
Yeah, you should be. 2021 champs down to just sneaking away from that relegation zone on the last game. And talking to Liam Norwood's strike rate, when you take 9 for in an innings, you're going to have a good strike rate. That's going to help. Most definitely going to help, isn't it? So, what a player.
Predictions for the season. So I think we go bottom up. And we take it in turns going, who have you got at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as we go through?
Yeah, so first off, I'm just going to quickly rattle through what the Cricketer magazine predicts. All right, just so this is like all the writers of the county writers, etc. This is what they think. So I'll go top to bottom on this one. They think Lancashire are going to win, Hampshire, Surrey, Essex, Notts, Somerset, Warwickshire, Kent, Middlesex, and North Hants. So that's what the experts think. So right, should we go from the bottom then? Yeah,
let's do it. Who have you got at 10?
I feel really bad about this, but I've got Kent, and I don't know. I won't surprise me at all if they finish mid-table, but I just think that maybe bowling isn't going to be quite enough for them. I don't think they're going to bowl enough teams out.
Okay, I can understand that decision. I've gone with Northants. For all the reasons we've said in the podcast so far, I just feel they're okay at everything. They haven't got enough support for Ben Sanderson, and they really need someone to stand up and support Proctor with the bat.
Yeah, well, I've got Northants 9th, so they're the second team that gets relegated. And really, so I think it's a bit harsh, really, on Northants and Kent, because I think they did so well last year. Yeah. But on paper, I found it really tough to put them above anyone else, other than possibly Warwickshire, because of a little bit of lack of batting. And that's who I've got in the next spot, Rob. So I've jumped ahead one there, but that's my bottom 3. I think Warwickshire are going to struggle again. Who did the Cricketer
put at 9?
9 was Middlesex.
Middlesex, okay. So 9, I've gone Kent. I ummed and ahed with this. I almost had a Somerset relegation party going on in my predictions again. But given Somerset's bowling attack, I went with Kent in the relegation spot. Who have you got at 8?
I've got 8 Warwickshire. As I was saying, I think they're going to struggle again, so I just think maybe they're lacking runs. Bowling attack was fantastic, but bowling last year wasn't fantastic. So it all depends on fitness and availability, doesn't it?
Cricketer?
They said, so their bottom 3 was Kent, Middlesex, Northants.
Okay. And then I've got Middlesex at 8.
Okay.
I feel the batting's going to be pretty decent to get them out of trouble. A little bit worried about how that unit's going to go. With Tim Murtagh, 40-odd years old, playing D1 cricket again. Could completely change it. Could be brilliant like the time he rolled through England for 50-odd. But we'll see how he goes. 7.
Middlesex. I think they're a pretty good team. I think they'll get some decent results, but I think they're going to be a bit of a draw merchant maybe, or just somebody that doesn't quite get the results over the line that they should.
Cricketer?
They said Warwickshire.
Warwickshire, and I've gone Somerset. For the reasons their batting was pretty woeful last year, picked up towards the end of the year. Still not convinced that it's going to be much different. Might be a little bit even across the season. Bowling attack will get them out of trouble and win them games. 6.
6, I've gone Essex.
Ooh, there's a controversial one.
Good bowling, but I think they're over-reliant on Alistair Cook still.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have a drop-off at some point, isn't he? It has to. I mean, surely he's getting up in age now. So, who's going to be the people to step up? They need players to start stepping up yet. They've relied far too long on the likes of Cook, Walter, Brown and Wesley and people like that. It's time for these other guys. If Dan Lawrence has a sensational summer, wouldn't surprise me at all to see Essex 3rd, 4th, around that sort of it. But, not doing it for me at the moment, Essex.
Warwickshire. I think they're going to be really fun to watch. They're going to have a bowling attack that takes wickets, but I also think they might have a bowling attack that isn't fit throughout the whole season. Is the batting good enough? I think the batting's going to score some fun runs. Sam Hain will hold it together. but maybe a few question marks around who's going to come in for Dom Sibley, for instance, who's going to pick up those yards and start delivering. Number 5.
That's Somerset for me, so drop them in there. So
I've gone a lot lower than you.
Yeah, Somerset. I'll jump ahead as well. I think Notts, Somerset, then Notts will be 5 and 4. That's my mid-table mediocrity. So, harsh.
And what did the cricketer pick at 6?
So 6 was Somerset, and then 5 was Notts for the Cricketer magazine.
Number 5, I've gone Notts. I could have had them higher. I batted with putting them at 4 above the team that's in 4th on my list. I think their batting lineup's going to be great in D1. I think they'll be good enough. A little bit concerned about the depth of bowling with James Patterson going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Notts for the next one for me. So who you got in 4th?
You've got them 4. Who did the cricketer take?
Essex.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout. 4, I've gone Hampshire. And I honestly, the top 4, I mixed them around several times over who's going to win the title. Like, I feel it's a little bit like that. It depends who has a really good season with their weakest point. Hampshire, incredible bowling unit. I think their batting has got holes, but the bowling unit will just win them games like it did last year. It was insane. That's why I've put them in 4th, because I just don't think they're going to score enough runs to win the league.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So 3rd spot, Rob. Cricketer's got Surrey.
You've gone Surrey. The cricketer's gone Surrey, and guess who I've gone?
Surrey.
Yeah.
I think you're just expecting a drop off a little bit, aren't you, in performance levels?
You are, and there's also can they constantly pick up the slack from people being on England duty for that second half of the year?
Yeah. Absolutely. So the big one then, Rob, is going to be the runner-up. I'm still floating around in my mind who I'm going to say. So let's just say that I remind you, cricketers said Lancashire and then Hampshire 1 and 2. So Rob, what have you got at 2?
Lancashire at 2.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that. I'd actually written in Lancashire to win and Hampshire second, but the more I've looked at Hampshire, the more I think this could be the year that they finally get it over the line. I think Hampshire will win.
You're going Hampshire. Yeah. Cricketers gone Lancashire.
Yeah.
I've gone Essex.
To what? To win the league?
To what? Win the league? To win the league. I've got Hampshire in 4th, Notts in 5th, Surrey 3rd, Lancashire 2nd, Essex 1st. Rationale I came up with is the batting lineup I said was okay but had potential. Adam Rothington averaged 40 for the last few years before last year. Good player. Wesley's better than what he was last year. Dan Lawrence is going to get, I believe, a full season to go and really cement himself. Alistair Cook's good. Paul Walters shown he's good. Nick Brown's maybe an average opener, but I feel they're going to be a lot better than they were last year because they haven't got the players in that team that should have the lowest top 6 batting average for the games they played in. I feel they're better than that. I feel the bowling lineup takes wickets, and I feel that having Simon Harmer for a season is going to mean that you're winning games of cricket along the way. So it's a big call. It's a big call. I'm not fully sold on it, but it's the decision I made, and it's the hill I'm going to put myself on for the rest of the season.
I'm pleased. I'm pleased that you are the Essex supporter of this podcast now. This is a good Division 1. There's no obvious, with all due respect to Leicestershire, there's no obvious Leicestershire, is there? There's no one that's like, oh, they're going. You know, we've put Northants and Kent down at the bottom there. I think that's probably quite unfair with how well they did last year. But it's just 10 good teams. And it wouldn't surprise me. You could basically just shuffle this league, and it wouldn't surprise me dramatically. You see teams go from good to bad very quickly sometimes with injuries and whatnot. Could happen. Could easily see one of those lower mid-table teams like a Somerset or a Notts or a Essex or somebody making a run for it as well. But I think it's due. I just think it's due for Hampshire. Lancashire, I just can't quite get behind. I understand why they are favourites, it seems, but I'm just not quite there with them. But I think they'll have a damn good year. And Notts, we've got last word has got to be Notts, mate. I think there's every chance if it clicks. You're looking at people like Joe Clark, aren't you, to pick up the slack from Duckett, Montgomery to come in and do really well, and Joe Clark's overdue to start fulfilling some of this potential. So he's he's had his issues and all the rest of it, but it's people like him that have to start stepping up and showing that they are the boss in that middle order. So yeah, bring it on, Rob. That's Division 1 in the books. It's taken quite a long time. It always does. We'll be back
Taken a long time.
Yeah,
Joe Clark's not averaged over 40 since 2017 either. Like he's due a score. He was really highly thought of then.
He is.
Lots gone under the water, under the bridge.
Yeah, we won't go into any of that today. We need to come back and do a Division 2 preview as well, Rob.
We do. So we'll be back before the season starts. Not sure what day this is coming out, but we'll be back before the season starts. Thank you for listening. Subscribe if you're brand new around here. Leave a little 5-star rating if you're listening on the podcast. Comment below and let us know who you think is going to go and win the county championship. And if I'm barking up the wrong George W. Bush saying that Essex are going to win Division 1, that may well be true. Thank you for listening. Till next time.